Located in the Valley of Mexico, Teotihuacan rises with a level of astronomical precision that still defies explanation. Its vast pyramids align to celestial events with an accuracy comparable to modern instruments. Yet beneath this perfectly ordered surface lies an even deeper mystery. Underground tunnels sealed for nearly 2,000 years, chambers filled with liquid mercury, and strange metallic spheres hidden far below the temple of the feathered serpent. These discoveries reveal a world beneath the city that is as complex and enigmatic as the one above it, suggesting a civilization operating with knowledge far beyond what is attributed to ancient Mesoamerica. No one truly knows who built Teotihuacan. The origins of the city remain one of the greatest enigmas of the ancient world. It rose suddenly in the Valley of Mexico, with vast avenues, perfectly aligned pyramids, and a level of urban planning far ahead of its time. Yet no inscriptions, royal tombs, or records reveal who its founders were, when exactly they began, or what language they spoke. Its creators left behind no trace of their identity, only a silent city of monumental stone. When the Aztecs discovered Teotihuacan centuries later, the city had already been abandoned for over 1,000 years. Awed by its scale and mystery, they believed it was the place where the gods once walked the earth and named it Teotihuacan, the city of the gods. Despite decades of excavations, no human remains have ever been found within the main pyramids or their vast network of underground tunnels and chambers. Archaeologists have uncovered elaborate secret passages leading deep beneath the temples and even liquid mercury deep below, yet not a single royal tomb of any ruler has been buried inside. Teotihuacan was once one of the largest cities in the ancient world, housing more than 150,000 inhabitants at its peak. Its massive size and organization were unlike anything else in pre-Columbian America. Upon entering the city, visitors are immediately struck by its geometric precision and modern-like planning. The main avenue, called the Street of the Dead, stretches for miles, flanked by colossal ceremonial structures that dominate the horizon. These monumental buildings, especially the pyramids of the sun and moon, reflect a level of urban engineering that would challenge even later civilizations. Scholars agree that the builders of Teotihuacan possessed advanced knowledge of architecture, mathematics, and astronomy. From above, the entire city reveals a strange resemblance to a computer circuit board, with the two main pyramids resembling giant processor chips. The alignment of its avenues, platforms, and temples seems to encode celestial relationships, implying a deep understanding of cosmic cycles. The symmetry and scale suggest that its planners were not only architects but scientists, capable of designing a city that functioned as both a ceremonial center and an astronomical observatory. What is even more mysterious is how many mathematical parallels exist between Teotihuacan and the Great Pyramids of Egypt. The Pyramid of the Sun has a base nearly identical in size to that of the Great Pyramid of Giza, about 750 feet square, and both share relationships to the mathematical constant pi. In fact, the base perimeter of the Sun Pyramid equals 4 pi times its height, while the Great Pyramid is 2 pi times its height, meaning the Sun Pyramid is exactly half as tall. These precise proportions raise questions about whether the two structures were designed by the same builders from a global and sophisticated civilization that constructed pyramidal complexes all across the globe. The alignment of Teotihuacan's pyramids with the stars of Orion's belt is one of its most compelling and mysterious features. The three main structures, the Pyramid of the Sun, the Pyramid of the Moon, and the Temple of Quetzalcoatl, are positioned in a deliberate triangular formation that mirrors the pattern of Orion's 3 central stars. The same stellar pattern is found at Giza and also at the Xi'an pyramids in China. Additionally, Teotihuacan aligns 15.5 degrees east of true north, a deviation that corresponds with the rising and setting points of key celestial bodies, further confirming that the entire city functioned as a vast astronomical instrument. The western wall of the Pyramid of the Sun is perfectly aligned with the setting sun on August 12th, which marks the beginning of the dry season, and on April 29th, which marks the beginning of the rainy season. This precise orientation adds to the enduring mystery of Teotihuacan's origin and purpose. To achieve such a consistent angle across miles of monumental construction would have required advanced surveying tools and astronomical measurements that rival those of modern engineering. Few visitors realize that much of what stands today at Teotihuacan was built atop even older foundations. Beneath the visible ruins lies a hidden history of reconstruction and renewal that spans centuries. Many of the temples, plazas, and pyramids seen today were not original structures, but later additions built over the remains of far more ancient ones. The Pyramid of the Sun is the clearest example of this architectural layering. Archaeological studies suggest it consists of 5 distinct construction phases, 5 pyramids stacked one upon another like a colossal stone nesting doll. Each layer represents a different era of building, yet, curiously, the deeper one goes, the more advanced the craftsmanship becomes. The oldest levels contain massive blocks fitted with precision and stability, unmatched by the upper reconstructions, raising questions about whether Teotihuacan's earliest builders possessed knowledge or tools that later inhabitants had already begun to lose. Traces of this ancient stonework still survive throughout the complex. In certain restricted zones, such as the area behind the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, fragments of finely cut andesite blocks and unusual masonry techniques remain visible. These stones bear a distinct style, tighter joints, smoother surfaces, and a more deliberate geometry, suggesting that the oldest phase of Teotihuacan's construction was executed with remarkable technical mastery. Archaeologists are only beginning to study these remnants, which may hold clues to the city's unknown founders. If the earliest builders were indeed more advanced, it would mean that Teotihuacan inherited the ruins of a civilization older and more sophisticated than the one history records. One of the most astonishing discoveries ever made at Teotihuacan was the presence of liquid mercury deep beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. In 2015, archaeologist Sergio Gomez and his team uncovered a network of sealed tunnels extending hundreds of feet below the pyramid. Inside these subterranean chambers, they found pools and traces of shimmering mercury, an element almost never found in liquid form in nature. The discovery baffled researchers because mercury is highly toxic and extremely difficult to extract and store, especially with the technology known to exist in ancient Mesoamerica. To create and preserve it would have required advanced knowledge of metallurgy and chemical processes. The purpose of this liquid mercury is still unknown, but many researchers believe it's related to lost technologies or even some kind of energy generation system that remains unknown today. This was not the only place where mercury has been discovered in ancient ruins. Traces of it have also been found at Mayan sites such as El Mirador and in the tombs of ancient China. Beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, archaeologist Sergio Gomez and his team uncovered another baffling find: hundreds of golden metallic spheres scattered throughout the same underground tunnel. These spheres, ranging from 1 to 5 inches in diameter, were composed of clay cores coated with a layer of burned pyrite known as fool's gold. The chamber itself glistened with flecks of this golden mineral, creating an otherworldly atmosphere unlike anything seen before in Mesoamerica. Scientists could not determine how the spheres were formed or what purpose they served, and chemical analyses revealed the presence of unidentified substances unlike any known material on Earth. These discoveries, combined with the mercury-filled tunnels, suggest that Teotihuacan's builders were engaged in complex, possibly technological practices that defy conventional explanation. The mystery deepens further with the earlier discovery of vast mica deposits within the same complex. In 1906, archaeologist Leopoldo Batres found large sheets of mica integrated into the structures of Teotihuacan, including reports of entire rooms lined with the mineral. Mica, known for its insulating properties in modern electrical and thermal applications, does not occur naturally in the region. It had to be transported from sources thousands of kilometers away in Brazil or India. Its deliberate use in construction, sometimes sandwiched between layers of stone like insulation, has left archaeologists puzzled. No other ancient architecture in the world exhibits such an application. The implication of this design is striking. It suggests an intentional effort to insulate or conduct energy, possibly indicating a function far beyond mere ritual use. Whether these elements served religious, symbolic, or technological purposes, the presence of mica, liquid mercury, and pyrite spheres together points to a level of sophistication at Teotihuacan that still challenges modern understanding. The tunnel beneath the pyramid of the feathered serpent was proven to be an artificial construction, not a natural formation. The tunnel stretches over 100 meters, and there were a series of 23 walls, each 1 meter thick, built to block access to the tunnel. When researchers deployed 3D laser scanners, the true scope of the architecture became clear. The tunnel continued in a perfectly straight trajectory beneath the pyramid, aligning exactly with its vertical axis, and archaeologists still can't understand how the tunnel was so perfectly aligned with the center of the pyramid, and how its builders managed to calculate and determine the exact axis without modern tools. Inside the central chamber, they found a set of 4 stone statues, 3 female figures and 1 male, placed with exquisite care. Their bodies faced outward, but their heads were tilted toward a single shared focal point, the exact center of the room. Their alignment was so precise that their invisible lines of sight converged perfectly at the chamber's midpoint. Even more astonishing was what lay beneath their feet. The builders had intentionally dug below the water table, allowing groundwater to fill the lowest cavity and create an artificial subterranean lake. With all of these discoveries, Teotihuacan stands as one of the clearest examples of a civilization that possessed knowledge and technology seemingly beyond its time. The cement-like material used in certain parts of the city is among the most durable substances ever found in ancient construction. Modern tests reveal that it resists weathering and erosion far better than many present-day concretes. The exact mixture, bonding agents, and process of production remain unknown, suggesting a lost material science, one that may have included heat or chemical techniques no longer understood today. The city's builders also managed to transport enormous blocks of basalt and andesite from quarries located dozens of kilometers away, across mountains and valleys, with no evidence of large animals, wheels, or pulleys. When archaeologist Leopoldo Batres began excavations at Teotihuacan in 1884, he was astonished to find that the massive pyramids were not standing in the open, but buried beneath as much as 12 feet of compacted earth. This was not a natural layer of slow sedimentation. It appeared as if an entire city had been entombed suddenly, as though wiped from the surface of the world by a great cataclysm. Batres concluded that only a catastrophic event could account for such a degree of devastation, one powerful enough to bury colossal stone pyramids under tons of soil. For nature alone to accomplish this through gradual erosion or wind-blown dust would have required many tens of thousands of years, far more than the conventional dating of Teotihuacan allows. This mystery deepens when considering that the covering earth was uniform and dense, resembling the kind of alluvial deposit left by flooding on a massive scale. A sudden inundation, a deluge, could have swept over the Valley of Mexico, depositing thick layers of sediment and mud. If this is true, it means that Teotihuacan may predate the flood itself, a relic of a world that existed before a cataclysm that reshaped entire continents. Ancient accounts preserved through Aztec mythology echo this possibility. According to Spanish chroniclers who recorded indigenous oral histories, the Aztecs believed that they were one of 7 tribes created by the gods after a global catastrophe had wiped the earth clean. They emerged from caves to repopulate the world, suggesting an ancestral memory of humanity retreating underground to survive an extinction-level event. They regarded Teotihuacan as the sacred place where the gods recreated the sun and humanity, the birthplace of the 5th sun, the current epoch in their cosmic calendar. The Aztecs' cosmology described 5 ages, each lasting roughly 5,000 years, and each ending in cataclysm. The 4th age, known as the water sun, ended when the goddess Chalchiuhtlicue unleashed a deluge that flooded the earth and destroyed nearly all life. This myth parallels the flood traditions found across the planet, from the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh to the biblical story of Noah and the Sumerian account of Ziusudra, suggesting a shared memory of a prehistoric cataclysm. The implication is that Teotihuacan, buried beneath layers of flood sediment, could have belonged to that lost age, a civilization that flourished before the waters came. If so, the great city may not have been built by the Aztecs or even by the Toltecs, but by a far older culture possessing advanced knowledge, a people who vanished in the chaos of a global flood. The precision of its architecture, the astronomical alignments, and the unexplained materials like mica, pyrite, and liquid mercury all begin to fit a larger pattern. Teotihuacan, as the surviving monument of a forgotten age of human mastery, later rediscovered and revered as the very place where gods once remade the world after its destruction. Long before recorded history, there were advanced ancient civilizations capable of building gigantic megalithic structures we can't build today, lifting enormous stone blocks weighing thousands of tons and stacking them with laser-like precision. Blocks we still struggle to lift even with our modern cranes. They crafted mathematically precise, flawless monuments from the hardest stone on Earth, leaving us to wonder who these builders were and how they accomplished the impossible. Were they merely primitive societies, or were they masters of a forgotten technology lost to the sands of time? Uncover the evidence of an ancient, global, and technologically sophisticated civilization that once ruled over our planet, constructing gigantic sites the ruins of which are still standing, before a cataclysmic event erased it from memory. Access our eBook, Prehistoric Megastructures, a nearly 500-page volume packed with images and in-depth analysis of some of the most astonishing and unexplained ancient structures ever discovered, monuments that were clearly built with advanced technology from a time long forgotten. There's a limited discount on the eBook, so make sure to get yours before it's too late.